As many of you know, probably when you registered for this event, you saw a face on the website that looks more or less like this guy. This is my dad. And he was very much, very much looking forward to being here today. But unfortunately, about 10 days ago, he had a stroke. He's doing very well. This is a good story. The doctors are very optimistic about how he'll do, but he can't join us today. He's taking a little time to heal. So he was going to talk about an article that he recently published in the Harvard Business Review called How Will You Measure Your Life? Shortly after all of this happened, John called me up and said, so, we're not going to have your dad, but would you be interested in coming and talking about some of the things that you learned growing up in this household as he learned these lessons? And I think they're very important ideas, so I agreed to do it. In his class at HBS, and as my brothers who are here will attest, at our dinner table, one of the principles, or one of the models that he talks about is a model called Aggregate project planning. And, at the dinner table. The model really differentiates between two different views of strategy making. One, deliberate strategies that emerge from a process in which management, often aided by consultants, analyze markets, customers, competitors, and technologies, and the economics of a business in order to define a specific course of action for the company. And then emergent strategies, which evolve from the cumulative impact of operating decisions made by a company's management. These strategies can actually be good or dangerous and are often, reactive in nature. A critical challenge, I think, facing a lot of management teams is ensuring that the stream of innovations coming out of that company, which really become its de facto or emergent strategy, mirrors the deliberate strategy that the management and stakeholders intend to pursue. What makes this hard is that the de facto strategy grows from decisions that are made on a day-to-day basis by one-off employees who decide whether or not they actually really want to prioritize one project or another. If you want to see how this plays out in the business world, a very quick example. Some of you will remember a little car called the Toyota Echo that came out 10 years ago. How many of you drive one? None. One? I think we have one. So it was a wonderful little car. Works great, drove well. It was Toyota's effort to stay into the kind of less expensive compact car market. And the product was actually kind of a flop. Not because it was in and of itself a bad product, but because their individual salespeople were incentivized to sell larger and more expensive cars. And so, day by day, on a one-off basis, as people walked into car dealerships to buy cars, the salespeople immediately went to the larger and more expensive cars, and the salespeople never really tried to sell the Echo. So although that was Toyota's overall strategy, it really didn't play out that way. So let's apply this to our lives. If I asked most of you what your highest priorities in life were, I think we'd probably get a lot of stories about your family's most important, friends, loved ones, maybe community activities that you're involved in. But if we actually were really honest about the way that we spend our time, that probably wouldn't, those things probably, for a lot of us, wouldn't really be true. Our emergent strategies as people, I think, play out very differently in our day-to-day decisions to get just a little more done at work or run one more errand before we go home. Those small decisions seem innocuous, but as in economics, the very important difference here happens with the marginal decision. The small and simple decision regarding whether you'll finish what you're doing or you'll get home and have dinner with your kids. Though they seem innocuous, these decisions add up and may get in the way of you living out your intended strategy for your life. Knowing that short-term demands are often louder and seem more pressing than our longer-term goals, my parents taught me from a very young age about the importance of seeking out and defining a purpose in my own life. They taught me that your purpose, your deliberate strategy for who you want to be and what you want to become, can be a guiding principle for all of your decisions, both small and large, and can provide a way for you to evaluate whether your emerging strategy for life is really consistent with the life that you intended to lead. Excuse me. So I've actually seen this play out in two different ways in my life lately. One is that I graduated from graduate school about a year ago, and in conversations with my friends and peers, I hear lots of things like, man, I haven't even seen my kids in days. Or, I just can't do these hours anymore, it's just not sustainable. I don't have a crystal ball, but I can't help but wonder that if we're not careful, a lot of my peers and I may be professionally very successful, but we'll find ourselves someday, many years from now, not really quite where we intended to be in life. The second way I'm kind of seeing this play out is in my family. Excuse me. My dad, who has otherwise been a very active, fit, healthy guy for as long as I can remember, has inexplicably, perhaps in the last few years, somehow endured a heart attack, cancer, and now a stroke in 3 years. And it's been inspiring to actually watch my parents repeatedly confront these crises in their lives, because they somehow come out on the other side of it essentially on the same course. I think for a lot of us facing major life crises, we do a major personal inventory and decide that maybe we need to course correct a few things and really get on track to what's most important. But for my parents, they decided decades ago what their purpose in life was, and they've stuck to it very aggressively. Certainly, we've learned a lot over these past few years, and they've had to change according to certain health needs. But the overall direction in their lives has gone unchanged. Thank you. I'm young. I'm only 30 years old, and so hopefully I have a lot of my life left. But as my friends and I are at this point where we're trying to decide who we are and what we really want to become, we're all asking very big questions. And as we look ahead, there's this very strong temptation to say that some number of years from now, maybe when we're in a slightly more financially stable place, we're going to do some of these things that really matter to us. We're going to spend some more time with our family, and we're going to get more involved with that nonprofit that we think is doing really important work. And we're going to start those companies that we always wanted to start. But the truth is that the future doesn't get easier. You start layering on to your life things like a spouse, kids, increasing professional commitments, personal commitments, a mortgage. It doesn't get easier. We've heard a lot today about creating and applying revolutionary ideas to the world and to our businesses, but I encourage you as you go home today to also start applying some revolutionary ideas to the way you live your lives. Figure out what your life's purpose is, and create a deliberate strategy for who you will be and what you will become. I have to say that I don't think that sticking to that strategy will be easy. But if we don't take control of our lives and live out a very deliberate purpose for what we will become and how we will be defined, who will? Life will throw us curveballs. Things won't work out quite as we planned. But if we're guided by an overall purpose, we won't end up years from now, miles afield from where we want it to be. And that's what my dad has taught me.